Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where presence is overrated and purpose is overlooked. Many people think that just being around, just being present, means that they matter. But the truth is you can be in a room and still mean nothing to that room. You can show up in a place every day and still be invisible. Because life does not reward those who are merely available. Life rewards those who are valuable. You were not born just to occupy space. You were born to make a difference in that space. Every individual carries within them a gift, a solution, a deposit of potential that the world is waiting for. Your duty is not just to show up. Your duty is to show up with substance, with excellence, with a contribution. Availability is easy. Everybody has time. Everybody can be present. But value requires discipline, development, refinement. Value is when what you carry inside you begins to solve problems around you. If you look at the people who are honored, respected, promoted, remembered, they are not just the people who were present. They are the people who brought value. A tree is valuable not because it's standing in the field, because it produces fruit. People don't go to a tree for its height, they go for its fruit. In the same way, people will not celebrate you because you exist. They will celebrate you because of what you produce. The question then is not, am I available? The real question is, what am I bringing? What fruit am I producing? What solutions am I offering? Be honest with yourself. If you were to disappear today, what would the world miss? What gap would appear? If the answer is nothing, then it is time to change that. Stop focusing on being busy and start focusing on being beneficial. Your time, your presence, your energy should have an impact. You must invest in yourself, cultivate your skills, strengthen your character, and feed your mind until you become someone of undeniable worth. Availability may get you in the door, but value will keep you there and open other doors you didn't even know existed. Look around you. Jobs are being lost. Careers are changing. The economy shifts. But one thing remains constant. Valuable people are still needed. They may lose a position, but they can never lose their place because wherever they go, they carry their value with them. A valuable person does not beg to be noticed. Value demands attention. When you become valuable, people will look for you. They will recommend you. They will honor you. And they will compensate you. So I challenge you today, don't be satisfied with simply being present in life, in relationships and opportunities. Be determined to be valuable. Grow beyond average. Elevate your thinking, sharpen your gifts. Let your work speak so loudly that your presence becomes a blessing and not a burden. When people see you, let them see excellence. When they hear you, let them hear wisdom. When they encounter you, let them experience impact. Stop asking to be included. Start working to make yourself indispensable. Because when you become valuable, you will never need to fight for place. Your value will create your space. Wherever your gift grows, honor will follow. And remember, availability is common, but value is rare. The world already has enough people who are just around. What the world needs is people who make a difference. Many people assume that just being present means that they are participating in life. They wake up, show up, and think that occupying a space makes them relevant or useful. But presence alone does not equal importance. In every area of life, whether it's family, work, community, or relationships, your presence is only meaningful when it carries contribution. People may notice that you are there, but they value you only when your presence changes something. Presence without contribution becomes a form of invisibility because it leaves no mark. Anyone can sit in a meeting and listen. Anyone can be at home every day and still have no influence. What determines your relevance is what you bring. Contribution means impact, and impact is what makes you unforgettable and indispensable. You have to examine your own life very honestly and ask, when I show up, what difference do I make? It is possible to attend school every day and still leave with no knowledge. It is possible to go to work every day and still never advance or be recognized because there is no evidence of value. Your contribution is what positions you in the eyes of others. People pay for solutions, not for presence. They reward those who meet needs, solve problems, and deliver results. If you look at the people you admire or those who earn the respect of the world, it is always because of their contribution. They did not just exist. They created something, improved something, offered something that others needed. Even in friendships, people may still like you as a person, but they hold on to you when you bring wisdom, encouragement, ideas, or support. Contribution is the currency that buys significance in the world. The tragedy of many lives is that they put more effort into being seen than into being useful. They are always trying to be noticed, to be accepted, to be invited. But being noticed isn't the goal. Being impactful is. When you shift your mindset from wanting attention to wanting to contribute, everything changes. You begin to seek growth and preparation so that when you show up anywhere, you come equipped to make a difference. Your value increases automatically because contribution is the result of investment in yourself. You cannot offer what you have not developed. So you have to intentionally nurture your gifts, increase your knowledge, and refine your skills. Value comes from preparation and dedication, not just from visibility. Presence is temporary, but contribution leaves legacy. Some people will pass through a place, and months later, no one will remember that they were ever there. Others will leave something behind, an idea, a system, a service, a moment of inspiration, and people will talk about them for years. That is because they contributed. You do not need a title, a spotlight, or applause to be valuable. Sometimes your greatest contribution happens quietly, behind the scenes when you solve a problem. Ease someone's burden or put something in place that continues to work long after you have left. Contribution builds trust, and trust builds influence. Over time, people begin to depend on you, seek your opinion, and count on your presence, not just because you are available, but because they know that whenever you are there, something good will happen. Your reputation becomes tied to your contribution, not just your presence. There is a major difference between being present and being effective. Presence is just physical. Anyone can show up. Effectiveness is mental, emotional, and spiritual. It means you bring energy, ideas, commitment, and competence. In any environment, effectiveness is what causes you to rise. You may not be the loudest, the most charismatic, or the most educated, but if your contribution is strong, people will recognize your value. They will open doors for you, recommend you, and support you. Life elevates those who contribute. Even opportunities have a way of finding people who are consistently productive. You do not need to chase everything when you become a contributor. Your value begins to attract the very things others run after. One of the reasons people fail to contribute is because they underestimate what they have. They think that unless they have something big or grand, they have nothing to offer. But contribution often begins with something small, an idea, a kind word, a helpful hand, a solution that others overlooked. Those small contributions accumulate over time and develop into a powerful reputation. Contribution grows every time you use what you have to meet a need around you. The more you do it, the more your awareness of your own ability increases. Soon, you no longer measure your life by how often you show up, but by how much you are able to transform any place you enter. You stop living for presence alone and start thriving in purpose. You realize that your fulfillment comes from output, not just attendance. People often believe that effort alone is enough to secure recognition or reward, but reality proves otherwise. You can work hard all day, every day, and still go unnoticed if your effort does not produce something that others can use or appreciate. It's not that effort is unimportant. It's that effort without results cannot be measured. The world is moved by fruit, by outcomes, by proof that something was accomplished. You could study for hours, but unless you pass the exam, your effort remains invisible. You could spend weeks on a project, but if nothing functions properly in the end, the labor feels wasted in the eyes of those who depend on the result. Value is not in the hours you put in, but in the fruit you bring out. People and organizations do not reward attempts, they reward achievements. Sometimes a person who works half as much ends up being promoted or praised because what they produced met a need. It's not about business or how tired you are from working. What counts is the fruit of your labor, the evidence that your presence made a difference. When someone can point to a problem you solved, a system you improved, a service you completed, they remember you for that, you become necessary to their success. That necessity is what makes you valuable. When people know you are a source of fruit, they start to rely on you. They feel secure because they know you will deliver something beneficial. Eventually, they begin to protect you, uplift you, and bring you greater opportunities simply because your fruit feeds their purpose as well. Many spend their lives trying to convince others that they deserve recognition. But fruit needs no argument. A tree does not speak, it simply produces. And people come to that tree because of what it offers. They may not even care about the tree itself. They might not admire its shape or its branches, but they go because the fruit feeds them. That is how society functions as well. People may not fully understand your personality or background, but if what you produce blesses them, they will seek you out. You become a part of their survival, and they begin to value you without even needing you to demand it. That is the power of being fruitful. Work is good and effort is necessary, but the focus should not be on how much you work. It should be on what comes out of that work. If nothing useful is produced, then your energy is being misallocated. Hard work without a clear direction is like running in circles, exhausting, but leading nowhere. To be valuable, you must channel your effort into things that have measurable results. And once that result becomes visible to others, they reward you for it because now your fruit becomes their benefit. The world circulates around exchange. I give something, you receive something, and we both gain. But if all you do is give effort without any gain for others, the cycle is broken. Fruit is what completes the cycle. You can see this principle in the marketplace. A company can advertise and promise all it wants, but if its products do not work, customers leave. No one pays for good intentions. They pay for good results. If a mechanic tries very hard for hours but cannot fix your car, you will still look for someone else because what matters is the solution, not the attempt. So in life, if you want to be valued, focus on output. Focus on solving, completing, producing. Let your fruit speak for your dedication. People judge a tree by its fruit. Therefore, let your fruit reflect excellence. Fruit is also what makes you memorable. You might forget the face of a stranger who passed by, but you remember the one who helped you when you were in need. Why? Because that person bore fruit into your life. You associate them with something they gave you: advice, deliverance, encouragement, provision, a strategy. Their fruit became a memory of value. That memory turns into trust. Trust turns into opportunities and loyalty, and that loyalty gives birth to honor. That is why some individuals are always honored in any place they go. Their fruit has built memories in the hearts of many, and those memories keep opening doors for them. To be fruitful, you must know what your seed is. Inside every person is a gift, a strength, a unique ability that is capable of producing fruit. But seed alone is not enough. It must be planted, cultivated, watered, and developed until it becomes something tangible. Only then does the world recognize it. You might have insight, creativity, compassion, strategy, or leadership. Those seeds, when developed, can bear fruit in the form of solutions, innovations, guidance, services, or inspiration. Once that fruit becomes visible to others, they seek you not because you exist, but because you produce what they need. Fruit has a voice louder than words. Availability is common. Anyone can say, I am here. Anyone can attend an event, sit in an office, answer a message, or fill a spot in a room. But being valuable means you have invested in yourself to such an extent that your presence actually matters. The process of becoming valuable is deliberate and often uncomfortable because it involves discipline, learning, practice, and sacrifice. It is not automatic. Many people remain average not because they are incapable, but because they are unwilling to go through the process of consistent development required to transform availability into value. Being available may give you access, but it is development that gives you influence. Availability without development leaves you in a place where you are seen, but not sought after. To become valuable, you must first recognize that you have gifts and potential inside you that are yet to be refined. Your raw talent is not the final stage of your usefulness. Potential means unrealized power. It is what you could become if you committed to growth. That potential must be turned into skill, and skill must be turned into mastery. This doesn't happen overnight. It requires perseverance. It demands that you read, study, practice, and accept feedback. It requires that you measure your progress and constantly push yourself beyond your comfort zone. People who only show up rarely stand out. But people who show up prepared, who show up improved, who show up better than yesterday, those are the people who become valuable. Intentional development also involves character, not just talent. Many people have skills but lack integrity. They may be sharp or talented, but people hesitate to trust them because their character is weak. Value is not just what you can do, but who you are while doing it. If people respect your work but distrust your behavior, your value erodes. That is why development of the inner man is crucial. Discipline, humility, honesty, reliability. These are qualities that cause people to depend on you with confidence. They know that not only can you deliver results, but you will do so with consistency and honor. That combination of competence and character is what makes someone rare. And rarity is the foundation of high value. The more uncommon your qualities are, the more valued you become. When you begin to consistently grow in both skill and character, something changes in how people perceive you. They no longer see you as just another person in the room. They see you as someone who carries something significant. It might be knowledge, solutions, leadership, wisdom, a calm spirit under pressure, or the ability to organize chaos into clarity. These things are developed through years of deliberate effort. They are not given, they are cultivated. And because most people are not willing to put in that deliberate effort, those who do automatically rise above the rest. Availability without development is easy. Value with excellence is rare. Development also enables you to meet needs in ways that others cannot. If all you do is remain at the same level of ability year after year, eventually someone else will surpass you or replace you. The person who is constantly learning and improving will always become more valuable than the one who just shows up to keep their position. In every field, the ones who rise are the ones who develop their gifts into expertise. They read, study, attend training, practice diligently, and stay updated. And because of this, they become a resource. People start coming to them for answers. Suddenly, their availability is not the reason they get called. It is their value. They have become an answer, not just an option. It is also important to understand that development is intentional, not accidental. You do not become valuable by mistake. You don't wake up one day and discover that you gained expertise without trying. It takes focus to turn raw ability into refined capability. It takes a plan, a schedule, a routine. You have to decide what you want to excel in, then pursue it relentlessly. You have to practice even when no one is watching. You have to train yourself in private long before anyone praises you in public. You have to turn off distractions, resist laziness, push past discouragement, and refuse to remain ordinary. That is the price of value. Intentional, consistent, disciplined growth. When you pay that price, the reward is significance. People can find availability on every corner, but they cannot easily find true value. The more you develop, the more confident you become in your own ability, and the less desperate you feel about opportunities. When you know you carry something valuable, you stop begging for attention. You wait for the right moment to release your gift. And when you do, everyone recognizes its worth. Development gives you a quiet confidence because you know you have refined yourself in secret. That secret preparation becomes your public power. You shift from asking for favor to attracting favor. Development is the bridge between being present and being powerful. Your worth in this world is not determined by how often people see you, but by how much of a solution you become. People remember the ones who solve problems for them. They remember the individuals who bring peace in confusion, order in chaos, hope in despair. You don't need to chase after being noticed when you carry the power to meet needs. The moment people realize that your presence equals progress, they will begin to seek you out. They won't wait for you to volunteer. They will invite you, request you, even pay you, because your value lies in the solution you deliver. Many people spend their lives wanting recognition, but real influence comes not from wanting attention, but from being an answer. Every person has a different circle, a different environment, a different set of people who are watching them. You might be surrounded by friends, co-workers, family, or community members who all have needs. Some need direction, some need encouragement, some need ideas, some need leadership. If you transform your life so that every time you show up you bring something beneficial, these people will slowly begin to respect and honor you not for your presence, but for your contribution. When you become known as someone who never comes empty-handed, not always gifts, but wisdom, guidance, insight, help, peace, people begin to treat you differently. They start introducing you with words like, "This is the one who helped me," or "Talk to him. He always has a solution." That is how your worth grows, not in being seen, but in being needed. Solving problems often requires discernment. It means you have to be observant, paying attention to the needs around you, noticing what others ignore, caring about what others avoid. Solutions don't appear to those who are distracted or self-absorbed. You must train your mind to see opportunities to bring value. Sometimes the smallest improvement you bring becomes a great blessing to someone else. There are people who are constantly looking for someone who can understand their challenges and guide them. If you become that person, your worth will naturally rise in the eyes of many. Even employers and leaders look for people who can save time, money, and effort by solving issues before they become crises. Those are the people who become irreplaceable. There is a difference between being appreciated and being indispensable. Appreciation can be momentary. Someone thanks you, praises you, and then forgets. But indispensability means people depend on your presence because without you something important would be missing. To reach that level, your identity must be associated with results, not with appearance. For example, you might join a team where everybody is present, but after a while, they know that when you come, things get done. When you speak, clarity comes. When you touch a problem, it gets resolved. That is how you become needed. Your name becomes connected to excellence and reliability. People will begin to think of you first whenever a challenge arises. Because you have become synonymous with solutions, you have to position yourself to meet needs, not just to fill a role. Roles can be replaced, but true problem solvers are rare. Someone can take your job title, but if they cannot carry your level of problem solving, you remain unique. This is why people can be fired from their positions, but still get invited back as consultants. Because the company realizes they lost value, not just availability. The solution you carry is what makes you special. That is why it is critical to keep increasing your ability to solve new problems. The person who only knows how to do one thing will struggle when circumstances change. But the one who keeps learning and adapting becomes a permanent asset. In relationships, the same principle applies. If your presence only brings complaints, negativity, or demands, people will avoid you. But if your presence brings peace, support, and constructive wisdom, they will cherish you. Value in relationships is not about gifts or flattery. It's about being a calming voice in chaos, being a source of encouragement when others feel weak, being honest when they are confused, being stable when they are unstable. The friend who always brings clarity and comfort is more valuable than the friend who is just always around. People open their hearts and their doors to those who help them become better, so focus on becoming the kind of person who constantly meets needs and adds value. Study what people lack around you, discover the gaps they face, and see where your talents can serve as an answer. Every time you meet a need, your personal worth increases in ways that cannot be measured only in money. People begin to honor you in private and in public. They recommend you even when you're not in the room. They speak well of you without being asked. Why? Because your presence resolved a burden in their lives. That is the power of being a solution and not just a participant. When you make a consistent habit of cultivating both your skills and your character, you naturally separate yourself from the crowd. People often focus on one and ignore the other. Some are very talented but lack discipline. Others are kind-hearted but lack competence. But when you combine skill with strong character, your presence becomes powerful. You don't just enter a room, you elevate it. People begin to feel confident around you because they know you carry both wisdom and integrity. This combination transforms your presence into opportunity. Doors begin to open without you having to force them. People start mentioning your name in the right places. You receive invitations not because you are free or available, but because you are known for excellence and principled behavior. That kind of reputation cannot be bought. It is earned through daily decisions and steady refinement. Opportunities are often given to those who are trusted more than those who are simply known. A person may have a good RA sum A, but if their character is questionable, people hesitate to involve them in serious matters. On the other hand, someone might have moderate skills but very strong character, and people will still prefer to work with them. However, when someone has both strong ability and strong character, that person becomes a key asset wherever they go. Your presence begins to carry weight. It speaks louder than your words. People feel safe and trusting you with responsibilities because they know you will not only perform well, but also handle everything with honesty and respect. As a result, your presence becomes a catalyst for new assignments, promotions, partnerships, and influence. This kind of cultivation has to be intentional. You may have natural talents, but talent is only the beginning. You must polish it through practice and repetition until it becomes skill, and then refine that skill into mastery. Simultaneously, you must discipline your habits, control your emotions, and align your actions with your values so your character remains consistent even under pressure. When you combine these two paths of growth, you become the kind of person whose presence inspires and elevates others. People will begin to say, whenever they are here, things are better. That is a powerful reputation to have, and it cannot be faked. It is the result of real cultivation over time. One of the greatest benefits of cultivating both skills and character, is that you no longer have to chase opportunities. They begin to chase you. Because people talk. They tell others about the person who solved the problem with integrity. They speak to their colleagues about the individual who completed the task with excellence and humility. They recommend you to their friends, invite you to important rooms, and give you responsibilities you never asked for. In this way, your presence becomes a doorway for more opportunities. It is not the number of times you show up that creates success. It is the quality of what you bring when you do. That quality is a direct result of cultivation. Cultivation builds credibility, and credibility over time becomes influence. When people trust both your ability and your behavior, they begin to take your advice seriously. They ask for your guidance. They respect your opinions. You become someone whose presence shapes decisions and inspires others to improve themselves. This influence extends beyond a single role or job. It becomes part of your identity. Wherever you go, that cultivated value travels with you. Even if you change environments, people quickly recognize your worth because value is transferable. It is not tied to a specific title or company. It flows from your cultivated skill set and your consistent character. Another powerful result of cultivation is inner stability. When you know you have developed yourself, you feel secure even when others doubt you or overlook you temporarily. You do not panic or chase validation. You remain steady because you understand your internal value. This internal confidence helps you resist unhealthy competition and comparison. You no longer measure your worth by others' applause, but by your own growth. And eventually, people recognize that stability and respect it. They see that you are grounded, disciplined, reliable, and capable. That quiet confidence attracts genuine admiration, not just temporary attention. Cultivation requires patience because growth takes time. There will be seasons of isolation where you are working hard behind the scenes and no one seems to notice. But those seasons are where your roots go deep. You read, you practice, you improve, you build your disciplines. It feels unseen, but it's not wasted. You are preparing yourself to bring something powerful wherever you go. And when the right opportunity comes, you will be ready to deliver value, not just be present. This readiness itself becomes a magnet for greatness. Others may have been too distracted or lazy to grow, but you invested in yourself. So when life calls, you can answer with competence and character, and that will separate you in the minds of everyone around you